I just realized my dialect of English has nasal vowels, and yours might too. We know nasal vowels, right? Those sounds in French, Portuguese, etc. Well, standard English doesn't typically have it, not phonemically anyways, but I think my dialect does. The word I realized this with was lonely. Now in standard English, you definitely pronounce the N, lonely. But what I realized was, in my dialect of English, if I'm speaking quickly or casually, I'll typically skip over the N, lonely. Now that would make the words lonely and lowly homophones, but they're not homophones, at least not to my ear, because I can still hear the difference between them. Why? Well, that's probably because the effect of the N on the vowel still stick around even though I don't pronounce the N. I pronounce lonely with a nasal vowel and lowly without one. To test if you pronounce something with a nasal vowel, you can say it out loud while plugging your nose. If you have your nose plugged and you hear a reverberation in your nasal cavity, that means you pronounce it with a nasal vowel. Lowly, lonely. It doesn't really come through that well on camera, so you'll have to test it yourself. If you want another pair of words to test with, you can try sate and saint. Now, at least in my idiolect of English, 1, the N gets swallowed into the T, and 2, I don't really pronounce the T at the end, I pronounce it more of an a glottal stop. So instead of sate and saint, I'd probably say something like sate and saint. I know those probably sound the same on camera, but you have to try it yourself, because my guess is you'll still pronounce it with the nasal vowel, and if you test it by plugging your nose, you might actually hear the difference. And an important thing to remember is that this is only in fast, casual speech. Like, of course, if you overpronounce every single letter, then you won't really feel this effect. But if you're speaking casually, not really thinking about it that much, you might also have nasal vowels.